Welcome back to Mona's Take, everyone. I'm your host, Mona Rose, and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. I want to welcome and thank you to all my new subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. All right, we woke up this morning to a fight between Todd and Lamar. They had not been out of bed long. Todd was irritated at Lamar because he was loud when he was yawning. Lamar was irritated with Todd because of his snoring. You know, it's the last few days in there, so I'm sure they're all getting on each other's nerves. Can you imagine what it would be like if this was a regular season and it was 6 weeks? They've been in there 20 days, 20-something days, not long. They're not happy. They're all ready to get out of there. They don't want to be voted out. They want to still win, but they all are ready to be out of the house. Todd's griping about the yawning, and Lamar said, man, that's how I yawn. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. And Todd's convinced that, no, that's not the way you yawn, that you're just doing it to aggravate me. You're just doing it to get on my nerves. You're doing it on purpose. And Lamar's like, dude, stop saying that. He's like, you know what? I'm not even going back and forth with you. And Todd goes on to tell him how he's acting like his dad, and his dad is a dick. And that he has dickish moves. I am not making this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. It was ridiculous. Lamar tells him he's not going to argue with him. He turns around and he walks off, and then he comes back. And he said, you know what, Todd, you don't always have to be right. And Todd's response was, well, you know what, Lamar, you don't always have to be an asshole. And Lamar's mumbling under his breath, and Todd's like, see, you said you're not going to talk to me anymore, and you're still talking shit. You're just being an asshole now. Todd says, you say stuff to me all the time, like call me a bitch ass such and such, and this and that, and it just gets on my nerves. You just don't have to be an asshole all the time. And then Todd goes on to tell him, how do you expect to be around people and help people and teach people with the way you act? I'm just trying to help you out. You're always grunting and this and that, and you're loud, and I'm just trying to help you out so that when you get out of here, you can make some money. To which Lamar said, dude, I'm not even talking to you anymore. You're being a grumpy old man, and I don't have time for it. Todd said, well, if I'm being a grumpy old man, you're being an asshole. They both sarcastically apologized to each other for getting on the other one's nerves this morning, and you thought that was going to be the end of it, and Lamar walked away, but then he came back. And they're yelling and screaming, and I'm surprised because I was watching the other feeds. Nobody came to watch. Nobody was listening. It was like they were just going on about their day, like nothing was going on. And Lamar says, you always have to be extra emotional. And Todd was like, well, you always have to be an extra asshole. I'm surprised Lamar didn't go off on him. I'm really surprised. Cynthia is seen hanging out outside the HOH room, and she's waiting for Todrick to come up there, and he doesn't get the hint. So finally she yells down to him and makes up some excuse about a belt that he borrowed that he never borrowed to get him up there. And she goes on to tell him that he is the only one in the house that she trusts. And she just wants to know what the plan is. She's like, I'm all right if I'm going home, but just give me a heads up. That's all I ask. And I know I can come to you, and you're going to tell me the truth, and I trust you. And she promises him her jury vote. Now I'm wondering when she gets out of the house and realizes, like Carson did, that Todrick is the one that lied to them about Shayna and did all the backstabbing and all the low-down stuff that she has preached that she hated, that she thought Shayna was doing. When she finds out Todrick's actually doing that, do you think she'll still keep her word? I have mixed emotions, because when she says she's going to do something, she does it. But when she sees all the trash talk, is she still going to do it? And maybe that's why Todrick's trying to keep her in there longer, is so she doesn't have time to get on the outside and see everything that he's been doing and talk to Carson and talk to Shayna and talk to Teddy and all that and figure out what a huge butt he has been this entire game. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think that she's going to keep her word if she gets out in time to find out what Todrick's been up to? Todrick tells her that she's not going anywhere, that he's with her to the end, and that the plan is to vote out Lamar. And then she starts saying that, she's talking about the jury votes again. And she said, I told you have my vote if I'm not in the game and it comes to the jury. But I've been hearing some talk around the house, and I can't say anybody else feels that way. So she's trying to throw Todd Lamar under the bus. Maybe she is finally getting the game of Big Brother, so that she stays in and Todd and Lamar go home. So then Todrick tells her that he's protecting her and that she's not going anywhere and that she's there to the end. But he gives her different scenarios of where she may be the only one voting and it may be Todd and someone else on the block. And he tells her that he'll keep her safe in the game if, when that time comes, she will keep him in the game and vote whoever is sitting next to him out. He also tells her that he doesn't feel like he can win the game sitting next to Misha. He hasn't said anything about getting Misha out, but he did tell Cynthia, I've got you till the end. They talk about Twitter, and he tells her that he doesn't even use his Twitter except for once in a while for work, and that he's probably going to delete it when he gets out because there's nothing but negative hate in there, and that people evidently, according to Todrick, started tweeting him when they found out he was going to be in the house and saying they were going to watch the season. They were so excited about the season until they found out that he was going to be on it. So I guess his haters started earlier than we did, but hey, we all got to the same point. And Cynthia's just giving him one hell of a pep talk. You know, you can do it. I think you're going to be here at the end. I think you got a good chance of winning. Yada, yada, yada. And just like yesterday, Cynthia and Todd and Lamar were talking about working together to go against Misha and Todrick and get them out. So I don't know what the hell happened overnight. Didn't see any conversations on it, but evidently her feelings have changed. So then we go to a conversation with Misha, Todd, and Todrick. And Todrick and Misha are trying to convince Todd to keep himself on the block, and they can vote out Lamar because that's the plan anyway. And Todd said, man, I ain't no fool. I ain't trusting in none of that. I'm taking myself off the block. And Todrick said, well, if you do, then you need to vote Lamar out. And Todd said, no, man, I ain't doing that. He said, I'm going to vote for Cynthia, and then it's going to be 1-1. It's going to be a tie, and you got to break it. And then Todd leaves, and Misha asks Todrick if they can vote out Cynthia instead of Lamar. She's wanting to keep Lamar. Todrick's wanting to keep Cynthia. And he says, no, I gave Cynthia my word that she wasn't going anywhere this week, and I can't do that to her. I don't know why he's done it to everyone else. And he says, and I would rather see her win everything than Lamar or Todd. Misha's trying to convince him that he cannot win sitting next to Cynthia. And they're going over the votes again on who would vote for who at the finale. Meanwhile, Todd goes into Cynthia's room and fills her in on what Misha and Todrick are proposing. And she says, well, you know, the few deals that we've made with them, they've kept their word. No, they haven't. Oh, I don't know. We're in the twilight zone. If Todd does not take himself off the block, he deserves to go home. Period. And Cynthia just says, well, it's your game. You got to do what you need. You know, you do what you need to do. And he says, I'm taking myself off the block. So Todrick and Misha move up from the kitchen up to the HOH room where they can talk more privately. And Todrick starts out by saying that he doesn't deserve the bad reviews that he's getting from the house guests that are leaving. Are you kidding me? He hasn't seen bad reviews yet. Wait till he opens up Twitter. His mind is going to explode. He goes on to say that he thinks Cynthia is a very nice lady, and that she's been nice and she's been kind, and that he would rather see her win it at the end than to reward two straight boys that have been in the house not paying attention, not focused, having to clean up after them. And he doesn't want to reward that kind of behavior. Misha reminds Todrick that Todd has been playing the game since he walked in the door. Todrick says again, he's not rewarding two straight boys, and that he doesn't want them to win. He doesn't know what kind of message that will send to America. Okay, so according to Todrick, he doesn't want some blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl to win it. And now he's saying he doesn't want the straight boys to win it. But if any one of them had said anything negatively about the fact that he was black or the fact that he was gay, it would turn upside down. But it's okay for him to say those things. He's just digging his holes deeper and deeper and deeper as he goes. And the feeds are cutting in and out every time they get to talking. Whatever is going on, they don't want us to hear, evidently. But when the feeds come back on, Misha's telling Todrick that she was only telling him that, whether it was true or not. And it took me a minute to figure out who they were talking about, but they were talking about Todd again. They're still trying to convince him not to use the veto on himself. And if he stays on the block, he's going home. God, I hope he's not that stupid. I really do. Because honestly, as much as I hate to see either Cynthia or Lamar go either one, Todd is their best competition in the house right now. So if Todd could win HOH, he could put up Misha and Todrick, and only one of them come down, so one of them go home. And then we could potentially see a finale night that does not include Misha and Todrick's faces in those two chairs. And Misha's talking to Todd, and she says, so are you going to vote out Lamar? And he tells her that he's going to vote opposite of whatever she votes. And she said, well, how do you know what I'm going to vote if I don't tell you? And he's like, well, I'm not voting Lamar out. He said, I'm going to make it a tie. And she said, you would do that to Todrick? And he said, yep, absolutely. I'm going to leave it up to him. Which is good gameplay, because then it's the blood's not on Todd's hand. So that's all for today. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching and supporting me. And as always, much love.